Okay, so I will be doing a video to help you with your study guide for Unit 2's test that we will be having Friday. So this first one on here tells you to use the rule to create a pattern, and it tells you that the rule is add 6 and subtract 2. So whenever they give you the rule, all you have to do is do what it says do. So like for this one, it says it starts with 34. If we add 6 to 34, we'll have, that's right, 40. So 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. So 40 would be our next number in the pattern. Sorry. Then it says subtract 2. So if I subtract 2 from 40, that will give me 38. So that will be 38 for my next number. Then I will go back. The pattern just repeats. So it's add 6, subtract 3. I did the add first, then I did the subtract. So now I would do the add. So now I would need to add 6 to 38. So if I add 6 to 38, that will be 30, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. So 44 would be the next number in that pattern. Then I would go back to subtract 2. So I would subtract 2 from 44. That will give me 42. And then I go back to add 6 again. If I add 6 to 42, that's going to give me, that's right, 48, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. So that's going to give me 48. So I'm almost done. Now I'll go back to my subtract 2. So 48 minus 2 will give me 46 because I have 48. I take 2 away from that, I have 46. So that would be that pattern complete right there. So you're going to have to be able to do that on your test for whatever rule they give you. And now this one, number 2, says find the rule for the pattern. Use the rule to continue the pattern. So this time they don't give you the rule, but they have a few numbers in the pattern, and you have to figure out what the rule is by looking at what's happening between these numbers. So the first one started with 80, then the next number went to 71, then the next number went to 62. So if you look at these numbers, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, are the numbers increasing or decreasing? Increasing means they're going up. Decreasing means they're going down. So it went from 80 to 71. So did it increase or did it decrease? It went down because 71 is less than 80. So the number it decreased. Then when it went to 62, did it increase or decrease? It decreased again. So my numbers are decreasing. I can see that. So now I need to see how much is decreasing by. So to get from 80 to 71, I know it's going to have to either be subtraction or division because my numbers are going down. That means they're getting smaller. And I know it's not enough in between these two numbers for me to be dividing. So it's going to have to be subtraction. So I need to see what I need to subtract from 80 to get 71. And then that'll tell me what my rule is. So I'll just do 80 minus 71 right here. And if I do that, I get, no, I can't do 0 minus 1, so I need to borrow. That's going to give me 7 over here. Then my 0 is going to be 10. So if I subtract 10 minus 1, I get 9. Then 7 minus 7 is 0. So my rule, I know to get from 80 to 71, I subtract 9. So now let me check it to get from 71 to 62. So I could do the same thing. 71. Let me see if 71 minus 9 gives me 62. If so, then I know that my rule would be subtract 9. So Can't do 1 minus 9, so I borrow from my 7. That becomes a 6. My 1 becomes an 11. Now I can subtract. 11 minus 9 is 2. 6 minus nothing is 6. So look at what happened. I subtracted 9 from 71, and look what I got. 62. So now I know what my rule is. My rule is subtract 9. So that means I need to do that to 62 to find out my next number. So if I do 62 minus 9, that's going to give me the next number in my pattern. So 2 minus 9 I can't do. I borrow from my 6. 6 becomes a 5. My 2 becomes 12. So 12 minus 9 is 2. Because if I punch 9, I count up to 12. 9, 10, 11, 12. Sorry, that's 3. That's going to give me 3. See? That's why it's good to check yourself. So that would be 3. I'm going to clear my screen. So 12, where was I? So 62 minus 9. Go back. So borrow, that becomes a 5. That was a 12. 12 minus 9 is 3. 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 3. 5 minus nothing is 5. So my next number in this pattern would be 53. Then to get the next number, I would just subtract by 9 again. So 53 minus 9 would give me the next one. So the 53 minus 9, I can't do 3 minus 9. I borrow from my 5. That becomes a 4. 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 9, I punch 9, count up to 13. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 4. So 13 minus 9 is 4. Then 4 minus nothing is 4. So my next number would be 44. So you can continue subtracting by 9 to find the other numbers in your pattern that you can fill those out. So define the rule. The rule is just subtract 9. That's how you define that rule. You're basically telling what the rule is. Okay? So that's how you do that part. And then the next one says list the factors of 36. So to find factors, we worked on this in class, you use a T-chart. So I'll do a T-chart for 36 to find all of my factors for 36. And we know factors are few. You're not going to have a whole lot of factors for a number, but you can have as multiples go on and on forever. So that's the difference between factors and multiples. So to find the factors for 36, I first always start with 1. So 1 times something gives me 36, of course. 1 times 36. Then I go to 2, and I check to see if 2 is going to be divisible by 36. Well, I know that 2 is an even number. And I know that 36 is an even number. So all even numbers will be a multiple of 2. So I know 2 times something will give me 36. So I'll go ahead and put my 2 there. If you don't know what it is, you can do ask yourself, what times 2 will give me something close to 36? So you can divide 36 by 2, but if you don't know how to divide, then the easiest way, so I know that something has to get me close to 36 multiplied by 2, or something's going to get me exactly 36 if I multiply by 2. So I know that 2 times 10 gives me 20. So I'm close to 30. But how close am I to 30? I am, if I do 36 minus 20, it tells me how close I am. So 36 minus 20 is going to give me, so 6 minus 0 is 6. Sorry, it's hard to write with this pen. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So I'm 16 away from 20. So what times 2 can give me 16? Well, if you know your multiplication facts, then you know that 2 times 8 will give you 16. So now I have, this adds up to 36. 20 plus 6, I'm sorry, 16, not 6. This adds up to 36 because 0 plus 6 is 6. 2 plus 1 is 3. That adds up to 36. So therefore, 2 times this gives you 36. And if I add this up, 10 plus 8 gives me 18. So 2 times 18 would be another factor pair for 36. Then I check 3. Well, I know that 3 is a multiple of 36, or 36 is a multiple of 3, because if I add 6 and 3, I get 9, and I know that 9 is a multiple of 36. And all these are rules that we went over in the past. So if you remember that, then that'll help you. Remember, you add the digits together to know if a number is a multiple of 3. So I know something times 3 is going to give me 36. But if you don't know, once again, you can do what I just did. And let me erase this. I know there's an eraser somewhere here. Don't want to clear the whole screen. I just want to erase, but I don't. Okay, I found the eraser, so I can just erase this. And so to find out what times 3 gives me 36, I could start with something that I know. I know 3 times 10 gives me 30. So I think about, if I'm at 30, how much more do I need to go to get to 36? And I know if I just count up 6 more, I'm at 36. So that means 6 is what's left. So what times 3 can give me 6? That's right, it's 2. So 3 times 2 gives me 6. So now I have found out that I'm at 36 now, because 30 plus 6 is 36. So that means 10 plus 2 is 12. So that's going to tell me what I need to multiply by 3 to get 36. So that's 12. So to complete my factor pair for 3, it would be 12. So 3 times 12 also gives me 36. Now I need to check 4 to see if 4 would be a factor for 36. Is there anything I could multiply by 4 to get 36? Well, if you know your multiplication facts, then you would know that you can multiply something by 4 to get 36. But if you don't know your multiplication facts, you can just you can count by 4s, see if you get to 36, or you could think about something you know with your 4s, and I'm pretty sure everybody probably knows 4 times 5. So if you do 4 times 5, you're at 20. So if I do 4 times 6, I just add 4 more, and that gives me 24. So you can keep doing that until you get to 36, or to see if you get to 36, and you will eventually get there. And just because I know my multiplication facts, I know that it's going to be 9 that gets me there. 9 times 6. I'm sorry, 4 times 6. 4 times 9 is going to give me 36. So 4 times 9 is 36. So now I would keep going down the line and I would check 5. With 5, can I multiply anything by 5 to get 36? Well, I know that in order for a number to be a multiple of 5, it has to end in a 5 or a 0. And there's nothing by 5 I can multiply by 5 that's going to give me 36. Because if I count by 5, that'll be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Then I'll go to 40. So 36 is not going to be a multiple of 5. So that means 5 is not a factor of 36. Now I could check 6. If you know your multiplication facts, then that will be easy for you because you know that 6 times 6 gives you 36. So I'll go ahead and do that. And 7. Is there anything I can multiply by 7 to get 36? Once the numbers get bigger, it's easier to tell at that point because you can add groups of 7. If I add groups of 7, I'm never going to hit 36. It's going to be 35 because 7 times 5 is 35. Then that means if I add 7 more, that's going to be 42. So 7 is not a factor of 36. What about 8? 8, is there anything I can multiply by 8 to get 36? Well, I know 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24, 8 times 4 is 32. So I did not hit 36. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not there. 8 times 5 would be 40, so I skipped 36. So 8 is not going to be a factor of 36. And then I check 9, and then when you look, we see we already have 9 on here. So once you get back to a number that you already have, that means you're done. So these are all of my factors for 36. So when I list out factors, remember we list them from least to greatest. So 1 would be my first one. I'm just listing them going down this way and then back up. So 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 6, and 6. Since 6 is repeating again, I don't write it again. So then I go to 9, then 12, then 18, then 36. So those are all of my factors for 36. 36 had a lot of factors. So now that we've done factors, now we do multiples next. So the next one says, says list the first 5 multiples of 6. So the first multiple of 5, the first multiple of 6, I'm listing the first 5 multiples of 6. So this is the number that I'm finding my multiples for. So I know the first one would be 6. Then my next one would be, I just add 6 more to 6 and I get 12. Then I add 6 more to 12, I get 18. And then the next multiple of 6 would be, if I add 6 more to 18, gonna be at 24. Then if I add 6 more to 24, I'm going to be at 30. So it says list the first 5 multiples of 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, multiples is the same thing as skip counting or multiplication. So if I look at it, what times 6 gives me 6? 1, correct. So 1 times 6 gives me 6. What times 6 gives me 12? 2 times 6 gives me 12. So that would be 6 times 2. So let me write that out to the side. So 6 times 1 gives me 6. 6 times 2 gives me 12. So I guess you can see the pattern. So what times 6 gives me 18? That will be 3. 6 times 3 gives me 18. Sorry, this pen is hard to write with. So what times 6 gives you 24? 6 times 4 gives you 24. And what times 6 gives you 30? 6 times 5 gives you 30. So my multiples is what I get when I multiply. So 6 times 1 gives you 6. 6 times 2 gives you 12. So these are my multiples of 6. I just listed them right there. So that's what you're going to do on this line. You would list the multiples of 6, the first 5 of them. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. And then the next one says is 15 prime or composite. So to know if a number is prime or composite, I need to know what the factors are for that number. If it only has one set of factors, it is prime. If it has more than one pair of factors, then it is composite. So if I do my factor T-chart for 15, I know that 1 times 15 gives me 15. And I know that I can't multiply anything by 2 to get 15 because 15 is an odd number. So it can't be divisible by 2. Now I go to 3 and I say, is there anything times 3 that can give me 15? Well, if I know my multiplication facts, I know that 3 times 5 gives me 15. And I go to 4. Is there anything times 4 that can give me 15? Well, I know 4 plus 4 is 8, and 8 plus 4 more would be 12, and then plus 4 more would be 16. So I'm never going to hit 15 if I count by 4s. So 4 is not. Then I could go check 5. Well, guess what? Once you've repeated, then that means you're finished. So these are my only 2 factor pairs for 15. So would 15 be prime or composite? Does it have just one set of factors or does it have more than one set of factors? Well, I know it has 4 factors in all, so that's more than one set. So that means 15 would be composite. And then the next one, I'm not even going to finish writing that, but the next one it says, is 29 prime or composite? Well, for 29, I could do a T-chart. And I always start at 1. So I know 1 times 29 is going to give me 29. Then if I look at the next number would be 2. I ask myself, is there anything I can multiply by 2 to get 29? Well, I know that 29 is not an even number, so I cannot multiply anything by 2 to get 29. Now I ask myself, is 3? Can I multiply anything by 3 to get 29? Well, to find out if a number is divisible by 3, we could just add the sum of these 2 digits together. So 2 plus 9 is 11. And 11 is not a multiple of 3 because I can't count by 3 and hit 11. So that means 3 is not going to be a factor for 3. So I could think about 4. Well, I know 4, if for a number to be a multiple of 4, that number definitely has to be an even number. And 29 is not an even number, so 4 can't be multiplied by anything to get 29. And what about 5? Well, I know that in order for a number to be a multiple of 5, it has to end in a 5 or a 0. 29 doesn't end in a 5 or a 0, so not going to be divisible by 5. What about 6? Well, if I know my multiplication facts, I know that 6 times 4 is 24 and 6 times 5 is 30. So I'm not going to be able to get to 29 by counting by 6s. What about 7? Well, 7 times 4 is 28. And then if I go 7 times 5, that's going to be 35. So 7 is not. What about 8? 8. There's nothing I can multiply by 8 that's going to give me 29. So that's not going to work. 9. Can't multiply anything by 9 to get 29 either. 10, nope. 11, nope. 12, nope. So to me, it looks like 29 is a only has one set of factors. So that means 29 is prime. Now, sometimes we have some numbers that are tricky and you have to keep going because it may be able to be multiplied by some strange number. But if you think about 13, if you, there's nothing, you could think about 13 plus 13, you could do that to see what that will end up being, and that's going to be 26. So if I add another group of 13, of course, that's going to be over 29. So 29 is prime. I will consider that prime. And that is all for this. So if you could do these things, then you could pass your test on Friday. So you need to practice. If you're struggling with this, make it a T chart. That's something that I know a lot of people need work on.